Welcome, distinguished guests, faculty, family, and friends. Thank you all for gathering today to recognize the achievements of SIS's class of 2019. I was born in Colombia in the 1980s. The drug wars were racking the country. Violence and uncertainty were a way of life. Every morning before she went to work, my mother made food for me and my sister, and then she locked us in a room. She left and locked the door. Safety was essential for my mother, and in that room, at least we were safe. My mother was herself a victim of sexual violence, and as a child, I had seen her physically abused. She knew that even though the door protected us from the outside threats, it did little to alleviate the psychological and economic hardships we endured. She protected us as best she could, but she understood that that locked door wasn't enough. She wanted more for us. She wanted to give us a decent life. So when I was 5 years old, my mother sent us away to the United States to live with a father we had never met. I moved to Elizabeth, New Jersey, an underserved immigrant community where a nice car, a souped-up Honda Civic, was what we dreamed of. My father worked 18-hour days, and we went to school. Like the rest of the town of Elizabeth, my schools were not places of grand ambition. They were rough. There were gangs. There were drugs. In my eyes, my grades were okay. I was an average student, but I wasn't invested. In high school, a group of teachers who, for reasons that are still unclear, saw potential in me, potential that I didn't even recognize. They put me in the honors program. There, my peers were quiet. They listened. They worked hard. And they asked questions. And nobody launched chairs across the room in the middle of class. I made new friends. I cleaned up my act. My peers were ambitious, and I wanted to graduate at the top of my class. I also knew that I wanted to serve my adopted country, its people, and the rights and privileges it grants those fortunate enough to live here. My sister had joined the Army after high school. Always a competitive sibling, I wanted to outdo her. So I joined the Marine Corps. All right, sir. I was a weapons technician. I fixed weapons and at times removed unexploded ordnance so Marines could come back home alive to see their families. One time, a round got lodged inside of the barrel of a gun. In case you were wondering, the key to success here is to very delicately punch out that round, ideally without having it explode on you. Eventually, I was promoted into a leadership position. I learned that my Marines, just like my father, were working 18-hour days and barely saw their families. By listening to them tell their stories about their families, about their lives off base, about what was really important to them, I realized that this life of long hours at a dangerous and unappreciated job was not good enough. I asked higher command for an additional Marine. I reorganized their schedules into 8-hour shifts. And I came in on weekends following training exercises so that they would not have to. Providing them physical security, safe weapons wasn't enough. When I left the military and enrolled in SIS, I learned that empathy was critical when engaging not only with our allies, but also with our adversaries. SIS taught me how to see people as more than the products of their conditions. If we focus only on law and order and physical security, we will not be helping provide people with a decent life. If we, as practitioners of international affairs, are going to serve, We need to understand more than the physical threats that people face. Yes, we must understand the history of a country, their ways of life, and their political and economic situations. But we also need to understand their aspirations and what living a decent life means to the people with and for whom we serve. SIS gave me a new lens for understanding not only my own life, but what's essential to a career in foreign policy. As I reflect on my life and the experiences that have led me to this point, I understand why the locked door and physical security wasn't enough for my mother. I understand why graduating high school as an average student wasn't enough for my teachers. I understand why earning a paycheck but being unable to enjoy it with their families wasn't enough for my Marines. And I understand that the degree we earn today and our good intentions will not be enough for graduates of SIS. We need empathy to address the root causes of our complex global problems. We are leaders and change makers, and we will go forth knowing that physical security alone will not provide people with a decent life. A decent life means that people don't have to hide behind closed doors. A decent life means that families are never forcibly separated. A decent life means people are not compelled to leave their homes in search of safety and opportunity. Congratulations, class of 2019. Mis logros se los dedico a mi familia y a todas las familias que han sacrificado tanto para que sus hijos logren a tener una vida decente y segura. Sus sacrificios no son en vano. I dedicate my accomplishments to my family and to all the families that have sacrificed so much so that their children can have a decent and secure life. Your sacrifices are not in vain. Thank you.